Today, I'd like to take a look at the Buddhist and Christian idea of sadness and how we deal with sadness. One of the realities of life is that as much as we have moments of joy, happiness, and uplift, and that's great and wonderful, there inevitably also are those down moments, those moments of sadness that we have to deal with. And they come sometimes unexpectedly. And how do we deal with that? How do we deal with sadness? And is there some positive aspect to sadness? One of the things that we have been exploring is how sadness can lead us to empathy. That when we are sad, when we experience sadness ourselves, we can have more empathy for other people who are going through sad or difficult times. One of the things that's interesting is the type of music that people listen to. One of the observations that we might make about that is that sometimes there are people that seem to be drawn towards sad or melancholy music. And sometimes it's quite fascinating, right? Somebody is talking about their favorite song and we listen to it and we're like, well, that seems kind of sad, that song. Why is it your favorite song? And sometimes people are drawn also to art that is kind of sad or has a sad theme. Same with literature, films. Uh, Sometimes we call a certain film a tearjerker. It's like how many tissues for that one, right? It's something that touches us, that is a chord within us that is responsive to the sadness, the melancholy that that particular film, piece of literature, work of art, music evokes in us. And sometimes even it can be a healing type of music. It seems sad, but it heals us. And it's kind of perplexing. Well, why is it? And then sometimes people, play these very upbeat songs. This is great, and we're like, I'm not in the mood for that. So it's fascinating with regard to music and art and literature. Um, there's a Christian sense where sadness can bring us closer together. That sadness actually helps in the creating of community. Many of us have attended vigils where someone has passed away, or vigils with regard to gun violence, vigils with regard to war and peace. And they're solemn, and there's a sadness because people have died, or we're contemplating war and destruction and all of these terrible things. And yet, we're there, we're at the vigil, we're at the service, we're at the time, and it's like, you know, I feel at one with all these people. I feel a sense of community. Many of us went to memorials, for example, when George Floyd passed away. Terrible act, horrible. Seeing a man die on TV, it was just an outrage. And yet we go to the memorial and we hear people speak and we feel one with the others. So in Christianity, there's a sense of, supporting one another, being there for one another, helping one another. You can form a sense of community together. Remember after 9/11, one of our local scout troops wanted to do a service or a tribute to one of the gentlemen from Miller Place who passed away at 9/11. scouting troop was from Miller Place, and they knew the gentleman and his family. They came up to church, did a beautiful procession with colors. I spoke and shared a few words. And as I looked out, there was a real sense of community, sense of coming together. Truly, truly amazing. Right? In these dark moments, you can feel this unity, this sadness, and it knits us more closely together. We experience that sometimes at a funeral. We go to a funeral and we hear somebody speak, or there's a prayer or a song that kind of moves us. And we're deeply touched in our soul, touched in our hearts. We feel the power of that moment. It's a sad moment, but yet there's a strength, there's a healing, there's people together. We're celebrating a life, we're paying our respects. We're saying, this is meaningful. We think too of times of tears, right? Times when we've been crying. Sometimes we think of a particular incident in our life. We hear a story about somebody. We even have this expression, we've been moved to tears. Something deeply within us has been touched. So there's that Christian sense of the power that comes in those sad moments. We think of different types of happiness as almost an antidote to sadness, right? The happy times, the sad times. We think of hedonic happiness, and we're seeking these pleasures. And they're wonderful, it's great, it's a good meal. We're having this great experience. But when you reflect back, those moments can be very fleeting. And sustaining hedonic happiness can be very difficult and oftentimes self-defeating. We try to sustain the happiness and all of a sudden it's not working. Well, I had this meal and I had this experience. I went and visited this beautiful island. I go back a second time or a third time. It's different. The hedonic happiness, the happiness of that moment, was fleeting. I captured it for a while and it seemed good and wonderful, but then, where'd it go? I've lost it. And yet, the solidarity in those sadder moments can sometimes stick with us even longer and be more powerful. Seems paradoxical. Why is that so? The sadness, the happiness. And so we think of the ultimate hedonic happiness. We'll talk about that again.